We have already read. No, we have not read it. So somebody has to read
We have
it.
read it. No, we have read it, Rangada.
We have, you sure?
Yes.
I thought we did only. Okay, I'll read each sentence then. Okay. So this is Sri Krishna talking to Arjuna. It's in double quotes. Whence has come to thee this dejection, this stain and darkness of the soul in the hour of difficulty and peril? Asks Krishna of Arjuna. Because, as I said earlier, normal people would have thought that, oh, people, Sri Krishna will praise him and saying, you are so good, you don't want to resort to killing for enjoying a kingdom. That's very good. But Shri Krishna is doing exactly the opposite. He is telling him, why are you abstaining from your duty and why are you not doing? What is this darkness of the soul? This we have discussed, if you remember. Okay. The same action can be done from the higher mind and the spiritual consciousness, and the same action can be done from a lower consciousness. So, when you are killing from the lower consciousness, you are doing it out of attachment, ego, and desire, and your desire in that case would be the enjoyment of a kingdom, and that's why I want to get rid of my rivals. And then you would do it with hate and with great amount of interest in it. Motive would be there. This is in the, if you are doing the killing from your at that level, or you may also withdraw, like Arjuna is withdrawing from the lower level. He's saying, no, I can't do it. So it can be an abstention or a doing the act from the lower level. This would be the nature. But if you go to the high spiritual nature, if you are told to abstain, you will abstain. But if you are told to do the work, you will do it without feeling any responsibility, without any karmic effect on you. You will not be disturbed at all. It is something that the divine is telling me to do, and I will do it. It leaves no stain on me. This is the difference one has to clearly understand. Okay, so that's why Arjuna is in the lower consciousness, but in the lower consciousness, maybe it is better to withdraw rather than fight, because then you have motives and desires and attachments. So, at the lower level, perhaps it is, that's why people would expect Sri Krishna to encourage him. But Sri Krishna is not saying that you should remain at the lower level. You should go to the higher level and do your duty. That's what he's saying. So, how has this depression and dirty, he is using the word foul, it is dirty, darkness of the soul, how is it come? Asks Krishna of Arjuna. The question points to the real nature of Arjuna's deviation from his heroic qualities. He is supposed to be a hero, but he is at lower level of consciousness, so it is shocking him. There is a divine compassion. Now, Srindi is explaining, there is a divine compassion which descends to us from on high, and for the man whose nature does not possess it, it is not cast in its mold. To pretend to be the superior man, the master man, or the superman is a folly and an insolence, for he alone is the superman who most manifests the highest nature of the Godhead in humanity. So, this sentence, let's see carefully what he's saying. There is a divine compassion. So, in Arjuna's case, he is in the lower consciousness, and his compassion is not really compassion. It's a weakness of the vital. Okay, that is the thing. When we are in the lower, we feel pity and we feel sorry for many people, but that is a lower reaction. It's a vital reaction. It's not the divine compassion. The divine compassion can be absolutely cold, objective, but full of love, okay, and full of understanding. Whereas in the lower consciousness, this sort of, that's why he's not using the word compassion. Pity is a weakness of the lower vitality. This is what Srindi is pointing out here. There is a divine compassion which descends to us from on high, from the higher planes of consciousness. And for the man whose nature does not possess it, one who is at a lower level should not pretend that he has compassion. And that's exactly what Arjuna's condition is, he is in the lower consciousness, but he is refusing to act because he is saying that's not the right attitude. But he is doing it from a wrong standpoint. That's the whole point. Okay? And the man whose nature does not possess. See, we made a very clear distinction between the higher and the lower. Huh? So, in the lower also there can be a pity, and there can also be a motive for killing because of desire and attachment. I will kill everybody because I want to enjoy my kingdom. This is desire, attachment and ego. But when you are saying, no, I can't do that, it is not the real compassion. It is the weakness of the nerves. So this is what Sri is pointing out. Whereas at the higher level, both the actions of abstention and violence is possible without any effect on your karmic law. Nothing happens. The law of karma is suspended for one who goes out of the body-mind life. When he is Trigunatita, the law of karma is suspended. Nothing affects your soul, but it affects your body-mind life. So that's what it's saying. So it is not caste. So there is a divine compassion which descends to us from on high, and for the man whose nature does not possess it, which is the case with Arjuna, he is in the lower consciousness. He is not cast in its mold, in the mold of the higher level, the divine compassion. He is not cast in that mold. To pretend to be the superior man, the master man, or the superman is a folly and an insolence. For he alone is a superman who most manifests the highest nature of the Godhead in humanity. Srimli is even going to the extent of saying, pretend. Okay? But there can be pretension in many cases. But in the case of Arjuna, he really is affected. He is not pretending that he is higher. He agrees that he is in the lower because he is asked for guidance, and not only that, his whole body is shaking, his vital is disturbed. He throws down his, very clearly it's a weakness of the nerves and the vital. So, next sentence. This compassion, the compassion of the divine from high, from the higher level, observes with an eye of love and wisdom and calm strength, okay? Not a disturbed vital, as in Arjuna's case. This compassion observes with an eye of love and wisdom and calm strength, no disturbance at all, the battle and the struggle, the strength and weakness of man, his virtues and sins, his joy and suffering, his knowledge and his ignorance, his wisdom and his folly, his aspiration and his failure, and it enters into it all. It enters into it all, to help and to heal the divine consciousness. But in the case of Arjuna, it is out of he has no power to heal. He has only power to withdraw himself, and that's weakness. In the saint and philanthropist, it may cast itself into the mold of a plenitude of love or charity. In the thinker and hero, it assumes the largeness and the force of a helpful wisdom and strength. Okay? It has to be helpful, but in the case of Arjuna, it is not helpful at all. Okay? It is this compassion in the Aryan fighter, the soul of his chivalry, which will not break the bruised reed, but helps and protects the weak and the oppressed and the wounded and the fallen. So, Srimdo's description of Arjuna's condition is a bruised reed. A reed is a very frail thing. It grows in water and bends very easily and even bruised. It gets easily bruised. That's what happened to Arjuna. He is faced with a problem. He is not able to digest. He is not able to assimilate it. So he withdraws in weakness. Okay? The oppressed and the fallen. But if you are in the higher consciousness, you know exactly how to help. How to do, what to do. But it is also the divine compassion that smites down the strong tyrant and the confident oppressor, not in wrath and with hatred. For with these and not the high divine qualities, the wrath of God against a sinner, the God's hatred of the weak, are fables of half enlightened creeds. The divine has no wrath, no anger, no sinner. Okay? This is something which is very, very clearly in the Gita and the our tradition, in the Indian tradition, including all the religions that we have. Whereas in the Jewish tradition, God is a punisher. Okay? He rewards and punishes. In the Christian theory also it is like that. Okay? So here it is not like that. God is never, he is not, there is no wrath and hatred in him. Even when he is killing, it is out of mercy. It is out of compassion that he is doing that, because that will save him. Okay, so, it's very interesting. An image is coming to my mind just now. Yesterday or day before, I was seeing a video of a small baby elephant which had been injured very badly. It had got entangled and the trap that it fell into was bothering him. So the people who look after wildlife in South Africa, they found out about this baby elephant, and they came in a helicopter to try and uh, relieve his pain. So, but when they were trying to, and for adult elephants, they use tranquilizer darts. Okay? And then the elephant falls down, and for 5-6 minutes it is absolutely immobile, and then they do whatever has to be done. But in the case of a baby elephant, they don't use darts, because he can be easily overpowered by 2-3 people. And that's what they did. But when they caught this elephant and pulled him down, the mother elephant thought that they are being cruel to him. Okay, so his reaction is exactly like that, okay, but it can't help. So it is thinking. But they, so according to the mother elephant, these 3 people are being cruel to the, but not at all. They are not being cruel, they are saving. It's something so similar. When the divine actually oppresses you, it is to help you. Exactly the same thing that this image I talked about just now. Very interesting. Even when you feel that the divine is putting obstacles in your path, it is only to help you. So that's a difference. When the divine is doing that, what you think is a disaster and a calamity, actually he is helping you. So the divine is, out of his wisdom and love, he is helping you with violence. So that is what the higher level is. But at the lower level, you withdraw from the violence, but you have no power to heal. Okay? That's the difference between compassion and pity. So, but it is also the divine compassion that smites down, not only always helping her, but always smites down the strong tyrant and the confident oppressor, not in wrath and with hatred. For these, and not the divine, high divine qualities, the wrath of God against the sinner, God's hatred of the weak, wicked, are fables of half-enlightened creeds. He's using the word creed, huh? That means religions. There are many religions who think of God as a punisher and a rewarder. That's absolutely not true at all. In fable, myths, okay, God's hatred, as much a fable as the eternal torture of the hells they have invented. Here is being very, very specific about the Christian religion. Okay? As much as a fable as the eternal torture of the hells he has invented. They have invented. They, the Christians, have invented. He is not using the word Christian, but it is very clear what he is referring to. But as the old Indian spirituality clearly saw, with as much love and compassion for the strong titan, erring by his strength and slain for his sins, as for the sufferer and oppressed who have to be saved from the violence and injustice. So to the sufferer and the oppressed, the divine shows compassion. But to the titan, with his ego and all that, the divine shows compassion through violence. Okay, it's a very interesting para, how the divine action can change, but the intention is always the good of the action is always good. Okay?
This is such a little
Yeah,
time, Rangada, but Usually, when something bad happens to us, we think that God is punishing us.
That's right.
But actually, it is our own karma which is. So, what about the karma?
Yeah.
Is it the karma which punishes us, or karma? There's nothing like that.
Okay. So, karma is not a punishment, it's a learning process. If you are in school and you make a mistake, the teacher may very kindly tell you what the mistake you have made, or he may be, even if his nature is, he will criticize you and say, he may even make you a little, he may put you down, so you may suffer. But all mistakes are only process of learning. No? So, I'll give you a best example which you will understand that it's not a punishment. A small child puts his hand in fire. Ignorance. Our wrong actions are because of ignorance. Okay? And why is the ignorance coming? Because you are divine essentially and you have plunged yourself into the opposite of your own consciousness, your own force, your own ananda. So now you have to learn how to get back to that what you have lost. So karma is not a law of punishment at all. It is a process of learning. Now the child has learned that if I put my hand in fire, I will suffer. So that is, he has learned something. This is precisely, now compare the calamity of the at the personal level to the fire. You have learned. Okay, you are learning process. I have to protect myself and become absolutely immune to these things. It's all a learning process. There is no punishment at all involved.
But the karma only puts fear in you, no?
Yeah, the karma will continue because the teaching process continues right up to the end. Na? Why should the divine teach you halfway and leave you? So the karma goes on. But what is interesting is that the karma ceases for the soul that escapes from the lower level. Okay? Lower level. Achha.
Yeah, that's what, because he's not killing, that is the karma. Because Arjuna refrains from killing also because he is weak, but also because of karma also, no? Or no?
Karma is always acting, yeah. The karma is always acting, and karma is the, because of his weakness, he is reacting in this way. Okay? Because of his weakness.
I have a query.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, once there was a man, he was a very good, generous, nice man.
Okay.
And suddenly he was accused of a murder which he did not do. Okay. Everyone knew that he didn't murder.
Okay.
But he was sentenced for that murder. So
Okay.
people went and told mother, okay, you know, this man, he was so good, this, that. And now he's not murdered, but he is sentenced for murder.
Yeah.
And mother said yes, because in his last life, he had murdered and he had got away with it.
Yeah.
So this life, he is getting his sentence.
Yeah, the result of the karma is coming in the next life.
Yeah, so like that is a punishment, no?
It's not a punishment. It is not to be seen as a punishment. Because you have done something and there are consequences. The law of karma is nothing but action and result. Action and result. That's all.
Ranganath, this reminds me of a Andretio, one place mother has written something
Okay.
about punishment, in which she says that suppose a child is disturbing a class. In a class,
Yes.
a teacher, I think, asks about punishment. So
Yes.
she says that suppose a child is disturbing the class, and that child is told to leave the class. That is
Yes.
not punishment. That is a natural consequence of his action.
That's right.
So this is in one of the entrepreneurs. I don't know where exactly,
Yeah,
but
no, but
I
it's very, yeah, that's exactly what we are discussing. Exactly. It's not a punishment. It is a process of learning. He has done something and he has to face the consequences. If you don't face the consequences, you will go on committing the same mistake, won't you? Okay. It's exactly the same. No? For instance, okay, in our physical life also it's like that. Suppose I have to learn how to operate the computer. I make a mistake, but when I make a mistake, I say, oh, this is what I should not do. You have learned. So an error is the consequence of ignorance, and it's a learning process. Exactly. It's not a punishment. I told you the other day about that man who had exactly what Jasmine said just now. He had not done something which he was accused of, even in the ashram. But mother told him to leave. And Nolita explained to him, you remember I told you this incident.
Yeah.
Nolita told him to leave the ashram, and he said, this is not a punishment. You will come back, but you will have learned something. Because something is there in the inner being by which he has to be sent back and he has to come back. So that is the thing. I told you about Gautam also, Gautam Chawala. Okay, he was mother scolded him one day, and he said, "But mother, I have not done what you're telling me." Mother said, "But you needed that scolding." So because they only use these things as an excuse, but those who don't understand this principle, they will say, "Oh my God, how unkind and how unjust is mother." But not at all. It's not injustice at all. Okay. That is what people also say, that when a close relative has passed away, we'll say, my God, why has God done this to me? Why is he putting this thing on me? Okay. And it can go to such an extent that even if a tsunami comes and kills 100,000 people, it's a punishment. It is not. Each one there is learning something. It's a consequence of their own actions and their own. Yeah. You have to think a good deal about it, because you can always give examples where it doesn't seem to be so. But this is the absolute truth, that there is karma. Law of karma is only action and result. Action and result. Nothing else. There is no question of any cruelty. There is no question of punishment. It's a process of learning. It's the same, na? Suppose you want to send a rocket into the space, okay? You make a mistake, then you analyze the mistake and you find out that what has gone wrong. So now you have learned from your mistake. Exactly in the same way, the psychological field also is the same. You learn from your mistakes. In fact, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you are persisting in your ignorance and stupidity. We should all learn from our mistakes. That's the thing. And mistakes can be also actions. Okay, so it's a wrong action is a mistake, error. In fact, that's why Srivendra says in the synthesis, if you remember, we have read it. Error is the handmaiden of truth. Because you make a mistake, you have learned something, and you avoid.
But Rangada, I have a question.
Yeah.
Making a mistake also is the doing of karma, right? Or no?
Yes, that's right. Of course it
No,
is.
I mean, if I make a mistake, is because it is my karma to make mistake, or how is it?
Yes, you can say that. Why not? Because you are at a level where you still have to learn that the mistake has to be overcome. You are at that level, isn't it?
So,
Your
the
ignorance.
cycle of karma, how does it end? Because whatever we do and whatever, it is all part of karma.
Yeah, okay, it's a very interesting question what you're doing. Your karma lasts for you as long as you are identified with the body, mind, life. Okay? Okay, since you have raised a very interesting question, we'll go a little into detail about it. Okay, so you remember your karma ends when you cease your identification with body, mind, life. You come out of your body, mind, life, and you go to the spiritual plane of consciousness, level 2, not level 3, level 2, and now you are absolutely calm, quiet, and immutable. Remember? So that's the experience of the self and Brahman. But the body and life is going on doing, and it is being operated by the universal force, universal nature. Okay, but you are free. That is the reason I told you why even avatars, okay, they have to get the consequences at the body, mind, life level. Now I'll tell you what it is. You remember we discussed also at the highest level, absolutely subtle. At the lowest level, absolutely gross. You remember the gradation?
Yes. Yes.
Now apply this rule of subtlety and gradation and grossness down the line. Okay. Now, can you imagine that when something is very subtle, there is freedom, na? The wind is free, it is moving everywhere, okay? The air is free. When you go into 100 miles above space, you are free. The gravitation is not there in you. You are free. So at the highest level, there is freedom. But as you keep coming down, the law of gravitation goes on becoming more and more intense, until finally on Earth, you have no freedom. You are subject to the law of gravitation which is pulling you down. And when something becomes gross, it becomes very, very fixed. This you understand, na? Fixity.
Yes.
And fixity is law. Law and freedom are opposites. So your question as to when does the law of karma end? It starts to end even in the spiritual planes of consciousness for the soul. But the body-mind life will always be subject to karma. Always. Until the supermental comes and the conditions are changed. But until then, the law of karma will operate at the lowest level because, okay, take something very, very concrete, okay? What is meant by law of karma? The laws. At the physical level, there are laws. No? There is no variation. The law is fixed. That is the reason why science can tell you that 100 years from now at such and such a time there will be an eclipse. Why? Because there is a fixity, no freedom. There is a law that operates. And that law operates at the physical level, vital level and mental level. But as it keeps going up higher and higher, the fixity and the laws will start becoming more and more subtle, more and more subtle. Okay? This is the truth. So the absolute freedom is only at the highest level. Apply the law of gradation and subtlety and grossness and fixity even to the law of karma.
Okay.
The law also becomes absolutely, that's why in Gita, if you go to the highest level, what happens? Sarva dharman parityajya. Give up all laws. No laws will apply to you. Okay? At the lowest level, all the laws apply to you. So this idea of
But,
gradation is very important. Yes, tell me.
But also, Rangana, this idea of not taking birth,
Ah,
no
yeah.
more birth, that also is the way you can go out of karma. No?
That's right. That's what I told you, that when you go to the spiritual level of consciousness, the level 2, you don't even need to go to level 3. The one who is escaping from birth, the ascetic, he is free, and he disappears. Okay?
But then again, if he wants, he can take birth.
That's right. As I was telling you, there are 3 cases possible when you are free, when the law of karma does not. That's why I use the word mukti, liberation. You are liberated from the fixity of laws in level 1. That's right. And when you are there at that level, you are in level 2, you have 3 options, maybe even more. Okay. The first option is like the Buddhists, disappear into where you came from. The river comes into the sea and disappears. There is no more river. The individuality disappears entirely. No more river. It has become part of the sea. This is choice number 1. Choice number 2, you can remain with a cosmic consciousness. The soul can remain without entering into a body-mind life. He can remain in that field for many, as long as he wants. Okay, that's the choice. In fact, what about the Apsaras, the Gandharvas, the Kinnaras? These are all there permanently stationed in those planes of consciousness. Okay, and the human
It
soul.
is out of choice. Is it out of choice that they are staying, or because they can't go above or they can't come down?
I think it is choice. See, it is choice. Even Mother and Srimda, they're in the subtle physical world now, and you can contact them and they can help you. They can help you even when you are in the lower consciousness. If you pray and make a contact, they'll help you. Then the other choice is Srimda's choice. I have reached liberation, but okay, I have reached liberation, but what about all the other souls? They are still there in ignorance and they are suffering. My liberation is not enough. The divine compassion seizes you and you say, I want to help others also. And so you come down and help the others. That's the
So
third step.
that's what Gautam Buddha did also, no?
I was going to tell the same thing. Like we think
Gautam
that
Buddha
Buddhism.
also did.
Pardon? I didn't follow. What did you say?
Buddha also did the same thing, no? He
Exactly.
attained nirvana, but he came back to
That's
help
right. That's
humanity.
right. That's right. That is known as the Bodhisattva. No? It's the Amitabha Buddha. That's what they call it. He took a vow. This is it's an attitude rather than a actual historical event. It's an attitude that I will not go into nirvana so long as a single soul is in suffering. Because the souls will always suffer in the lower because there is an infinite supply of souls from the bottom. No? It's the same. I told you about Vivekananda, if you remember. He wrote to a disciple in the West. He says, I am not interested in my liberation. I am not interested in God, the calm, the infinite, the peaceful, the ananda. I am not interested in that. I am interested in God the miserable, God the fallen, God the diseased, God the poor, God the suffering. That also is the same attitude. Right?
But Rangada, then it will be an eternal thing, right? Because body and this will turn into, I mean, how can you take
What?
out pain and suffering from body or physical life?
Okay, now take one individual. Okay, he is traveling from the lowest level to the highest level. Agreed? Through many
Yes.
lives. Now, this drama is repeated infinitely. What is wrong with that?
Yes.
It is repeated infinitely for every soul, only at different
Yes.
times. So, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong.
No, so they have to work infinitely or eternally for humankind.
Oh, okay. No, but remember that there's an evolution. And what has Sri Aurobindo done? He has made it easier for them, na? As I said,
Yes.
if you have to cross a forest, if somebody has already shown the path and cut the foliage and cut the jungle bushes and made a road, it becomes easier for the others. So that's exactly what
Yes.
Sri Aurobindo has done. Okay? He has
Yes,
made.
Rangada, but since man has come, animals and plants survive. So as Superman also comes, human beings will be there. No,
No, I didn't exactly follow the question.
no, the path is there, but as when human beings came, animals and plant life is still there, right? So
Of
when
course,
Superman comes, the man, humanity also will be still there, no, eternally.
of course, they will be there. Matter does not disappear. This is one thing that I've already told you before also. See, when the animals came out of matter, life came, did matter disappear? No. Matter didn't disappear. So now, out of animal life, when man comes, have the animals disappeared? No. But every animal has a better chance of going into to take a human birth. When the yogi comes, okay, now man also becomes, because he is helped by the yogis, he has also a better chance of becoming a yogi. When the superman comes, it will be easier for men to go to the next level. So it's a pyramidal structure, and as you keep going higher and higher, things become easier and easier. But the inconscient will continue to remain, matter will continue to remain, the whole process will continue to remain, but it will become much faster for everybody.
No, so the
Rangada, I
as
think
long as matter
1 minute.
is there is suffering, right?
Yes, of course.
So for Sri Aurobindo or Gautam Buddha, it is as long matter is there, their work is not done. I mean,
Oh,
according to them, in
uh,
that way, I'm
if you
saying.
want to be very, very cruel about the reality, yes, it is true. Because there's no end to evolution.
Yeah, so
But
it's not cruel, it's realistic, no, Rangada.
okay. I'm using the word cruel because it sounds so strange, no?
Harsh. Yes,
Yeah,
it's harsh.
it sounds very harsh. But that's a reality, yes. There will always be, even when there is country, but those who are ready, they will be helped. Huh? That's the whole point.
Yes, yes.
But
There is, Rangada, there is one question again in this, that once you have taken the human birth, can
yes,
you go back to animal or no?
no, that never happens. Very rarely does it happen, but it does not happen. It's a, you do markelapa, okay? You do markelapa, but you don't go back. Okay,
Okay.
you don't go back. Otherwise evolution would have no meaning, no?
Mhm.
There's always a forward march. But one thing I can tell you, since you have raised the question, okay, man has got a body, man has got a vital, and man has got a mind, and he has also got a soul. But when the soul is in ignorance and your desires are very, very strong, okay, and
Okay.
desires are not satisfied yet, what happens sometimes after death is that the vital being, you remember I've told you that there is a physical Purusha, there is a vital Purusha, there is a mental Purusha, they're all separate. Okay? So this vital Purusha can continue to exist because its satisfactions have not taken place. It can enter into another human being to try and satisfy itself, or it can enter into another animal also to satisfy itself. So they have spoken of this. So a human vital can enter into even an animal vital, in animal body to satisfy its desires, unfulfilled desires. That can happen, but not the soul. The soul never goes back to an animal level, but the vitality can until it is released. Okay, that's what a ghost is. A ghost is a vital being which has not had its satisfactions to the desires that it had. So it continues to linger in the physical world. But when that vitality enters into another human being, that is what is called possession. Okay, it can happen. If you have seen that film Exorcist, you would know that that's what can happen. Okay, yeah, it can happen.
That,
Yeah,
uh,
yes.
actually, there is a mention that some souls are lost. Is it?
I didn't follow exactly what you said.
I think there is net problem. I'll talk. I'll ask some other time. The
Okay.
net problem.
Yeah, yeah, that's
No,
right.
she said that sometimes it is called that the souls are lost. What does it mean?
Ah, okay, okay, but that's a misnomer. Okay, okay, I've understood what you're saying. It is not the soul that gets lost, but the soul, okay, in this sense that the soul is still lodged in the vital and the, see what's the process of rebirth. First of all, your body dissolves, then your vital dissolves. This is a say chain that happens, and then your mind dissolves, and you are left only with the soul. It goes to the psychic world, it reviews its own life and takes birth again. But if this desires are very strong, okay, you are stuck in the vital. So it is true that the soul is still ignorant and it is stuck in the vital. That's true. But I am talking of the case where the vital becomes separated. The soul has the power to separate the vital, but the vital takes on an existence of its own. That's the funny part. Even thoughts can take on existences of their own. Okay? So the two cases are different. Archana, now I understand what you're saying. So it can happen that the soul is still lost in the vital. That can happen. And that is what is called a lost soul. Okay? It is not
Okay.
being able to go to the mental world. It is stuck at the vital world. That can happen. But if the soul divests itself of the vital clothing, then the vital clothing continues to live without the soul. Okay? That happens also. Because I told you, these are not there is a impersonal aspect and a personal aspect. Okay? There is a personal Purusha, vital Purusha is there, Prana Purusha. Okay? There is a Manomaya Purusha. So that continues to exist. But sometimes it dissolves. Just like a grain of salt can dissolve and disappear, but it can also remain. So the vital of an unsatisfied being There can be two cases. Either the soul gets rid of it, but it is such a strong formation because it is not had satisfaction that it continues to exist in the atmosphere, the earth atmosphere. That can happen. So,
May I say something?
yeah, go ahead.
You know, when mother was in Paris and when a group of them met together and meditated or whatever, there
Yeah,
was one young boy also who used to come. And
okay,
then that young boy stopped coming for a very long time. And they
okay.
didn't know what had happened to him. And one day when the group was there, suddenly one cat jumped from somewhere. And mother saw the in the cat's eyes the soul of that man, and
Ah,
that young boy had gone to war and was suddenly killed.
ah,
So she saw him in the eyes of that cat.
that's right. That's right. I remember that. That's exactly what happened. The vital of that man, because he had died in an accident, and usually it is these accident cases that the vital is still not had its full satisfactions. And so it entered into that cat and came to mother. And mother saw through the eyes of that cat, the eyes of that man. She could recognize that his vital has come through the cat. That's right.
And
Yeah.
somewhere mother has written that if you totally surrender yourself to the divine, then your karma gets dissolved.
That's right. It gets dissolved with you are rising to the spiritual levels, the level two. Your karma is dissolved for the soul, but not for the body mind. Now you have a choice. If you want to take a body mind life again, you have a choice. That's right. So there are so many different types of cases. But Archana, this question was okay. It was explained to me. But Archana, now it is clear.
Yes, Rangada. Actually, I remembered because it's mentioned in Savitri, I think, in that glory and fall of life. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a small.
That's right.
I just were discussing about the soul.
Yeah.
I remember that's why.
That's true. That can happen. The soul, the soul has got three clothings. The outer clothing, which you can compare to a woolen coat, and then you have a bunian, and then you have also another lining inside. Okay, so these are the three coats that you have. When your first coat is gone, that is the body, you still have the second coat. Okay, and if that second coat cannot be removed easily, then it lingers in the Earth atmosphere. In fact, 90% of the time, the soul that has left the body lingers for about 10-12 days. That's why the Shraddha ceremony in India is precisely because of that, to cut the link and help the soul to divest itself of its second clothing and third clothing and go to the spiritual level of consciousness, the Sakhic world. That's the reason why we do the Shraddha ceremony. And now it is in ashram, it has been replaced by the 12th day meditation that we have. Okay, so that's true. That's the thing. So the soul, then when that happens, the soul is lost temporarily. It's never lost fully because it is divine in essence.
That
Okay?
means by
Yeah.
12 days' time, the soul has reached the psychic world.
After 12 days, it can go, yes. Or at least it is helped to go from the vital level to the mental level. And there again it has to dissolve. Okay?
So, do some souls, like Mother said, that Sri Aurobindo said that whoever passes away in the ashram, his
Yes,
symbol is there on your forehead,
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah,
So, would that person reach the psychic world much earlier than 12 days?
I would think so. And there is no time, na? So, Yasmin, the question of earlier or later is not relevant when there is no time. In the higher world, there is no time. They are still thinking in terms of the physical world.
Because Mother has said, no, that like her guidance is there,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
they have paved the way for people who follow Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
Yes, yes,
So,
absolutely.
like, is it a very simple catwalk for you forward instead of having sort of passing through various vital regions and mental regions, like you just sort of fuse from one into another.
Yeah. I don't know if your passage through these worlds is, it is made easier, but it doesn't get eliminated. After all, you have these clothings on you, na, and they have to be divested. They have to be
Yeah,
removed.
you have to pass through it. Like,
But it
I'm not
becomes
saying
easier.
that,
The passage
because
becomes easier.
to go to Sri Aurobindo's room also we have to have the pass, then go to the meditation hall, and then only when you're allowed you can go up. So similarly, you have to pass through certain stages to reach another stage.
Yes, that's
But
right.
usually, like in a month's time, though, everybody goes into the psychic world.
Okay, that's another interesting question. It depends if the psychic is already developed. But in an animal, there is no psychic as yet, it's only the divine presence. So, usually, what happens to an animal is that the animal gets rid of the body and goes to the vital level, and it has no mind, so it can't go to the mind level, it takes birth again. The consciousness, the animal, takes birth again in another animal body. Okay, suppose you are a mind, you have a mind, you will go up to the mental level and take birth again. Okay, and that's exactly what happens in very interesting cases of rebirth. Okay, you have a very rudimentary mind and you have an accident, you will go up to the, your vital will go, your mental will go, but then from the mental world you come back and again into the physical world, take birth again. And that is the reason why memories of past life can remain when that happens. From the mental world, you are coming back again. The question of psyche doesn't arise then. This is what happens. In the case, 90% of the time, when there is a case of reincarnation and they remember their past lives, it is because of accident or war or something like that. Okay? 90% of the cases. It's very interesting. There are 2,000 cases of reincarnation in America, and all of them are accidents or in war. Okay, very interesting.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay.